Hey, is your phone blowing up? Are you frustrated? Are you overextended? Today we're going to talk about restructuring your life, your leadership, your organization for growth and for peace. This is going to be practical, it's going to be relevant, useful, and I hope, as always, fun. Hey, Shawn Lovejoy here. Welcome to the Courage to Lead Podcast. Today we are going to be talking about restructuring our lives, our leadership, our organizations to position us for growth, but also to experience peace in our lives and the lives of our team members today. But first, some housekeeping. Thanks for tuning into the podcast. Thanks for subscribing. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you go online and subscribe to one of the podcast platforms. We stream everywhere podcasts can be found: Spotify, Overcast, Apple, of course. Check that out. And then if you want to download the reflection and discussion guide for you and or your team, I'll send you all the notes for this podcast. Just text CourageToLead, all one word, to 44222. Text CourageToLead, all one word, to 44222. We'll send those out to you. Not just this podcast, but every single podcast, which reminds you of the subsequent downloads. So today we're going to talk about restructuring for growth and peace. Hey, every organization is perfectly structured for the results it's getting now. So if you want different results in the future, we've got to change our structure. We've got to address our structure. So if it's tense now, if we're frustrated now, if there are communication challenges now, if we question having everyone in the right seats now, if we question whether we've got the right team members for the next level, all of that we got to look at. So there are two basic requirements needed to basically get yourself ready for the next level. Restructuring your time, that's we're going to save for another podcast, and restructuring your team. Today I want to talk about restructuring your team and the team dynamics for growth and peace. Okay, if you don't restructure your life, your leadership, your organization, your phone's going to keep blowing up. You're going to be in crisis mode all the time. You're going to run around putting out fires. You're going to keep dealing with every problem that everyone else is dealing with. Growth's going to spike up and then fall right back down. And you're never really going to have time to develop the people around you. And honestly, you'll keep your organization weak, because if you're absent and they can't get to you and they can't solve the problems, or everything goes to hell in a handbasket when you're not around, that makes your organization very weak. When I started Courage to Lead, I had a leader say to me, "Shawn, I want you to build Courage to Lead so you can sell it." And I thought to myself, wow, no way. I'm leaving a great thing. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I don't want to sell Courage to Lead. He said, no. If you'll structure it from day one as if you're going to exit the scene and sell the company, then you won't build the whole thing around you and your personality. And you'll scale it, and you'll make this organization stronger. And it's what I've sought to do from day one. And that's what you've got to do. Oh, if more pastors would think this way. Oh, if more leaders would think this way. And if you're the senior leader, if you're the team leader, you are an interim leader. You are going to leave. The question is, what's going to happen when you do leave? Is everything going to fall apart because it all rests on your shoulders? Or will you have built a structure that allows it to live and breathe and succeed without you? And that's what we're talking about today. So when you do restructure for growth and peace, one, you're going to adequately care for people and develop people. There's a reason why it's called span of care in an organizational chart. You can manage 17 people like some CEOs I've seen on their organizational chart. You can't care for 17 people. You can't develop 17 people. Imagine having 17 kids and trying to spend adequate time with all of them, to invest into them, to develop them, to parent them, to discipline them, to coach them. It's impossible, okay? So you're going to lead people instead of just manage people if you'll restructure for growth and peace. And then everyone can focus. You can focus, and everyone else can focus. So here's how you can restructure for growth and peace. Number one, I want you to consider maintaining what I call one pizza teams. One pizza teams. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, you're familiar with the names, he talks about what he calls two pizza structures in organizational structures. And he says, I don't want more people in a meeting than can split two pizzas. All right. How many people is that? 7, 10, 12 people, maybe split 2 pizzas. I don't know. But I actually don't think most of us are as effective leaders as Jeff Bezos is. We're not as brilliant as he is. And so I like to espouse 1 pizza teams. I don't want more people in a meeting with me than can split 1 pizza. And that affects my entire organizational chart. That affects how I relate to everyone on my team. It affects who's in what meeting and who's not, and how many people I try to manage and supervise. So I want to encourage you to think through all the meetings that you're in. I want you to think about your organizational structure and ask yourself, could we split a pizza? If not, you got some work to do. You've got some work to do on your organizational structure and how many report to you. I don't want more people reporting to me that can split a pizza. Yes, I could manage more people. I just can't care for and develop more people than that. Also, in the history of the Myers-Briggs personality profile, records tell us that 51% of the people who've taken that test are introverts. So they're processors. They like to think. They're introspective, okay? Extroverts talk too much. It's ready, fire, aim. But if you want to get your introverts to speak up, your processors to give them time to process information and then speak their mind, it's going to happen in circles, not rows. And you really need to get the size of that meeting down and invite those introverts who are oftentimes brilliant, whose ideas get left in the table in larger settings, into the table to really share what's on their mind and their heart. The best decisions, the best dialogue, the best ideas ought to happen in a meeting. And we've got to work to mine for those genius ideas in our meetings. So you need to work to build and maintain 1 pizza teams. Number 2, I want to encourage you as you build your team and you build out your organizational structure to maintain a healthy ratio between projects and products. Between projects and products, okay? First of all, let's talk about the value of coaching for just a moment. I've heard you get better with experience. That's actually not true. If you think the world of athletics, a quarterback doesn't necessarily get better with experience. The truth is their mechanics will tend to get off. They'll drop their elbow. They'll begin to throw sidearmed. They'll get happy feet in the pocket on a football field. So a quarterback actually gets better by experience through reps and coaching. So a quarterback needs someone who's more experienced, who's been where they are, who's watching them play and helps them get better. So we get better with reps and experience. So we say all the time at Courage to Lead, every leader needs a coach. We'd love to talk with you about that. Drop us a line, CourageToLead.com/strategy. We'll talk with you about what it would look like to coach you through the things that are keeping you awake at night. But for the purpose of this podcast today, I want you to hear me say that every person in the organizational chart needs a coach. So you're going to be coaching a few people in your organization if you're the leader, and you should only be coaching products. Okay, let's talk about the difference between products and projects. Products they're proven leaders. They're experienced. They can hit the ground running. You frankly can pull them off the shelf, if you will, and plug them in over here in this organization. And largely, they can hit the ground running because they've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. They've done what you're asking them to do before. They're not green. They're not inexperienced. Man, they get it. The things that stress inexperienced young leaders out, do not stress them out. And they're great developers of talent, not doers of the work. And you need products at the top of your organization. One of the common mistakes I see leaders make, especially in a startup situation, whether it's a new church or a solo entrepreneur who starts building a team, is they pick and they hire only what they can afford. And they're all projects. Projects are green, they're inexperienced, they're more affordable, they have an upside. But for a project to become a product, they have to be developed. They have to be poured into. They have to be invested into. They have to be coached. They have to be trained how to think and how to lead and how to execute on what you're asking them to execute within the organization. So every project within an organization, that's a person, every project that you're needs a product over them. And so we need to keep a healthy relationship between projects and products. Now, I think every organization needs projects. We need to hire young people, millennials, and the like, in their 20s, huge upside, lots of talent, but very inexperienced. And pour into them. Develop a leadership pipeline. We shouldn't just seek to rip people off and steal people from other organizations. We should be raising up great talent from within. But to do that, you're going to have some products at the top. And your 2, 3, 4 people that report to you in that one pizza team, every single one of those needs to be a product. You can't have any projects that you're leading. All right? The products need to lead the projects, and you need to lead the products. And you need to look across your team and say, what's our healthy ratio? Do we have products at the top of the organizational chart in every area where there are projects that need to be developed? Hope that makes sense to you. So, number 3, we want to build a culture of execution. Man, there's nothing more frustrating to the great A players on your team than to sit around talking about what we're going to do and nobody ever does it. To have meeting after meeting after meeting, come back to the table every single week, and we've not executed on what we said we were going to do last time. And average players and elite players don't like to mix because elite players don't like to be around average players. So for you to get to the next level, you're going to have to heighten the execution. And I'm not talking about killing people. I'm talking about the follow through, the responsiveness, the blocking and tackling. You've heard the devil is in the details. You bet he is, all in them. And if we're going to get better, the details are going to have to be executed. So I encourage teams, listen, have somebody, who's kind of the execution Nazi. Can I use that word in the Courage to Lead podcast? That's sitting there adamantly thinking about, okay, what did we just decide? And who's responsible for that? And when are they responsible for executing that, reporting back on that? And I want them to take minutes in every meeting. But the typical way, Robert's Rules of Order, taking meetings and minutes in a meeting is he said, she said, and we talked about this. I don't care about any of that. All I care about if I'm the leader is what do we decide? Who's going to do it? Who's responsible for it? And when are they going to report back? When are they responsible for bringing results? And then guess what we're going to do during the week? I encourage all my team members to spend a half an hour poring over those minutes to say, okay, what was decided? What am I responsible for? And what I need to be executing between now and next week. And then to maintain that culture of execution, guess what I'm doing at the beginning of every team meeting? I've got somebody responsible dusting off the minutes from the last couple of meetings, bringing those to the forefront, and collectively in the meeting, all together, public accountability time. What have we decided? Who's responsible for what today? And man, over time, that kind of accountability provides a culture of execution. We're knocking things down. We're getting better. Listen, if you want to get bigger, if you want to grow, you're going to have to get better. Everybody wants to get bigger. All right? Most people don't want to pay the price to get better. We say all the time at Courage to Lead, you can't presume on growth. You must get prepared for growth. And part of that responsibility is to restructure for growth and for peace. Hey, I don't know how to be more practical than that. I pray this has been helpful to you today. If this has been encouraging to you today for you and your team, drop me a line, podcast@CourageToLead.com, podcast@CourageToLead.com. Let me know. If you got a specific question or resource you're looking for, we'd love to provide that for you. Let us know as well. And then drop us a review on one of those podcast platforms. In the meantime, I'll see you next time on the Courage to Lead podcast. Thanks for allowing me to share with you. God bless.